morning all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
So right now 50 students are there. So let us wait for a couple of minutes only and then we shall start. And I hope my screen is visible. If anyone can acknowledge me that my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us wait for a couple of minutes because
Yes,
right
sir.
now only. Also. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I hope it is visible. So if
Yes, sir.
just if we will recall the last lectures, that is the chapter 2, that is only about the bird eye view. So in this bird eye view we have see the bird eye view, or you can say the general term, it is just to explain you about the basic foundation of the subject, what are the core inspiration behind the implementation or to learn the virtual reality, or which inspiration become motivation to derive the virtual reality in a technical manner. So that is the bird eye view. So in that we have learned bird eye view of software, bird eye view of hardware, bird eye view of, in the last lecture very, that is psychology and perception. Why I said, because how the things are psychologically behaving to a human being, because mainly all the application that we are building, 90% are for the human being, 99, or you can say 95% are for betterment of the human being. So the psychology comes in picture that how in a reality something is working or behaving to human being, and then how the perception comes out. So that we have seen. So because we have to implement those things in the working over the VR, because we have to have a understanding of those things, so that we should not do big gap. We should not create a big gap between real environment and artificial environment. If we will have a learning, because when we are seeing something from away, when we are seeing something from closer, so what kind of appearance we are getting, what kind of perceptions we are generating, and how the mind react, and how the perceptions going to be generated in your mind. So that we have seen in the last lecture, and we have also seen that how very overview, very you can say rough overview, that how the neurons come in picture, receptors come in picture, how it travel from the sensory organs to the mind, because ultimately the processing thing is going to be taken place at the mind. So what are the things that we have to also care during the VR environment? Because if we will not care about the how psychology or perceptions are there in real environment, then it will create a VR sickness. That what is, because if something we are going to not taken care, because the perceptions and all visual experience will be given being to the human being, and it is far away from the reality, then it will definitely give a VR sickness, which include, as I said, explain, nausea, vomiting, these kind of things may happen, and maybe some unconsciousness may also come in picture for the later part. Now the second and third chapter, that is on about the geometry of virtual world. Geometry, if you see, if you remember the word WDG, what was the full form? We have used this word so many times during the earlier lectures. What is the full form of VWG? So many times we have used this word from the first lecture to today even. Tell me, anyone? It should not be like that. You people are just making this in one way only. So anyone can. What is the full form of VWG?
Virtual world geometry.
Very good. So why not geometry? Here you can just say virtual word generator, if you remember. And this word has been used in other word also. Like what other word I have said? You can say it is a artificial world also, virtual word generator, artificial world, or you can say simulated world, anything you can use. So what this virtual world is, so for that, if you remember that diagram, that if it is the virtual world, if it is WDG, so the sensory comes in the picture, senses, because input will be, and then there will be the processing here, and then whatever perception need to be created. Here the perception comes in picture. This is the processing part. You can say processing part, and then the display will come. On the perceptions, because this display is going to be projected to someone, so perception comes. Perception means, you can say whatever you are seeing, whatever you are listening, you are going to give a conclusion like that. What is the object is, what is the color, how far from the user, what kind of word is going to, if it is audio display, so which language is there, who is speaking, or some kind, any kind of perception it can be, depends upon our processing, our understanding. So what this virtual world is there, so in this virtual world there will be so many objects, that is also possible if it is virtual world simulation. So there will be so many objects like this. These are the objects, suppose these are the objects, these are the objects. That is also possible, na? This virtual world is not going to be empty virtual world. It will have some objects like this. So these objects are there. So these objects in virtual world, because we are going to make the virtual world close to the real environment. So if it is going to be close to the real, at least everything must be in a 3D. So here in this chapter, what we have assumed that each and every virtual world is going to represent a space, and which we call it as a Euclidean space, 3D Euclidean space. And suppose this virtual world is represented by W, so you can say it is a subset. It is a subset of your Euclidean space, that is 3D objects, which is going to be have here, like this one. Virtual world is a subset of this, because in artificial manner, when you are going to make a virtual world, then you have to also create the objects also. You have to create, the user have to create, who is working over it. So we have to knowledge that this virtual world is a subset of Euclidean space, 3D Euclidean space. Why I'm saying 3D Euclidean space? Because if you just go into 2D, whenever we are learning or going or image processing or computer graphics, then it is a 2D. So when it is 2D, so then whenever we are going to make any object, we are considering the XY coordinate to make the object, because everything is going to be represented in a matrix form. If you all remember, it is a very basic knowledge that I hope everyone have, that anything which is going to be in a computer generation, it is going to be either 2D, 3D. So if it is 2D, then it use the 2D Euclidean space. In 2D Euclidean space, the dimensions are X and Y. Similarly, when we are going for virtual world, so in this virtual world, all the objects are in a 3D Euclidean space, because it has always be a 3 dimension, that is X, Y, Z. So we just assume that W is a subset of the Euclidean space, that is R3. That is just mathematical representation. And why we are going to use this Euclidean space? Because we have to do some kind of operations over the object, like you have to change the position of the object, you have to do rotation, you have to add patches, you have to add a rotation plus position changing, both to be together. This kind of thing is possible, because in real world any objects can be viewed from different angles. The objects can be rotated, objects position can be changed if it is possible. So we will learn it. That's why this 3D Euclidean space has been taken, because when we will create, when we are going to perform the operations, then we must have in some space, so that we can perform this operation. So this Cartesian coordinates we are going to use, and it become very easy then to apply the operations if you know the points because each and every objects will be created through the in computer generation. If you see, each and every object or each and everything is going to be created through point to point connection. It will become more clear when we will go ahead. So here what we have just assumed that our virtual world is a subset of 3D Euclidean space which follow the Cartesian coordinate. So if any points are going to be represented, then it will be represented with x, y, and z. Fine, x, y, and z. That will just show the x coordinate value, y coordinate value, and z coordinate value of that point, like this one. This point is having this coordinate, means where this point reside in the 3D Euclidean Cartesian. Okay, because if you see this one, this is what, if you see this space x here, y here, z here. So in this space, this is a space, na? This is the space. So in this space, a particular point is going to be positioned where. So the position of that point is going to be defined by this coordinates. Okay, so any points are going to be represented with this one. So whenever we are going to, because we have already learned a lot about geometry. So when we x and y, and sometime in 3D you may also see like this one also, that this one is J space, this is x, and this is y. That you may see, no, somewhere. Another notation that x is here, y is here, g. So this is known as a left hand Cartesian, and this is the right hand Cartesian. And maximum time we will use the right hand Cartesian in place of left hand. Some many tools are there, many books are there. There also left hand Cartesian or right hand, because if you do the coding left hand and you do the coding according to right hand space, then the whatever object you are going to make, some mess up will be created and the things will be Cartesian. But the model is following the left hand Cartesian. So there will be reverse. Everything will be reversed. So it means that the word which you are going to get is not going to be as per your requirement. So that's why if the tool is following right hand Cartesian, then you have to do the code always or orientation according to right hand. If follow left hand, then you have to do it with left hand. I hope it will be clear. And so many times you also noticed it, x, z, and y, and somewhere this x, y, and z. So it is just a representation. You don't need to be worried. You are not going to make this position in your tools. These are the basics, and it is inbuilt in the tools. You have to just get aware that this tool follow what, left hand Cartesian or right hand Cartesian. And even some tool allow you to change it, the left hand or right hand. Okay. So here in this, what I am following the book, I already told you Stephen Lavelle. So they are referring right hand Cartesian. So we also learn in perspective of right hand Cartesian. So suppose I have to draw a point. So how many points will require to know? Can anyone tell me? If I want to draw a line here in XY Cartesian, so how many points you should know so that you can point? Please tell me. Be interactive, then only I will go ahead. Little bit mathematics starts from here. So how many points you know so that you can draw a line?
2 points.
At least 2 point, na? So suppose you know this one, this point, and this point. So start and end. This is x1, comma y1. Then it is x2, comma y2. that you have drawn. So this line has been. Okay. So what do you feel? This point has been built only with these 2 points, or can I say this line have infinite number of points from x1 y1 to x2 y2? Can I say that in between this x1 y1 point to x2 y2 there is infinite number of points? Yes or no? Because these all will be the considered point. I cannot do the spacing. These all are the point of this line. These all are the point. Infinite number of points are there. So any line even you are going to draw, then it is having an infinite number of points between the start and end. But we are only considering start and end because in computer system nothing can be considered infinite. We cannot work over infinity or infinite in the computer generation, or in, you can say, computer system. Everything should be finite. Everything should be finite. So that's why this has been generated that you have to input the 2 points only, 2 points only, that is start and end, and it will draw the line. But in actual, this line has been created because of the multiple points, multiple points in between start and end. So whenever we are going to perform any operation over this line, so because as the computer is going to work only with the finite, you cannot input infinite number of points. You cannot perform operation over infinite, because if we are going to perform any operation over infinite number of points, then the process will also run for infinite time, and that is not suitable. That cannot be acceptable. So here these operations will be whenever we are going to perform any kind of operation, that you want to change the position of the line, you want to change the orientation of the line, you want to translate it, you want to scale it, positively scale it, negatively scale it, then we will do the operation over these 2 points, start point and point. This is the simple thing that is on a, you can say, over 2D. So same way things are going to be done over the 3D also, with extended point, that is g coordinate, because in there xy, here xy z will be there. So whenever you are going to draw a line, anything, because in 3D one more thing is added, that is the depth. Height, width, and depth is also going to be added, because everything is considered solid here. So everything is considered solid, so there definitely little bit depth will be there. Whatever in the real environment, if you see anything you are seeing, it has height, it has width, it has depth. Maybe the depth is very tiny, maybe in millimeter, maybe in very, you can say, below to the millimeter Armstrong unit is there, micrometer is there, maybe anything, but there will be something. Okay, so that is going to be added in the third coordinate. So if we have to, here it is just shown that if we have to draw a triangle, and we want to draw a triangle in 3D Euclidean space, so how many points will require? So in this, you can say the points are required, 3 points, that is this one, and this one. And if you see, this is the having x, y, z, so it's mean the height is also there, width is also there, depth is also there. So these are the infinite number of points will be there, infinite numbers of points. These all will be the points through which this has been derived. But as I already told you, we are going to work in a computer, so computer cannot work with infinite, anything infinite. So we are going to run with a primitive. So primitive is that you have to have a finite instruction to draw anything, finite instruction. So these are the known as the primitives to draw triangles. So first primitive, you can say this one primitive, this one is the another primitive, this one is the and third primitive. So you can say the total 3 primitives required to draw a triangle. 3 primitive. Okay, so x1 y1 z1, x2 y2 z2, and x3 y3 z3. So sometimes you may ask that you have make lot of objects in Blender. You all guys have did very you can say excellent work. I have gone through your objects. Whenever you are making, either you have made the cup, you have created pencil. In the last lab, I think a robot was there. Yeah, robot also you have created. So you have created it on a space, na? Definitely, but you don't have awareness that how it has been developed. You have not cared about whatever I'm explaining here, these primitives. You have not defined the primitives. You have not told to tool that how to connect between the two primitives to draw. And these everything has been happened. Why it has been happened? Because of the engine of the tool. Engine of the tool. So what we are learning here, so many things is not going to be applied by you. It is just because we are engineer, you are going to learn it not only in perspective to the developers, but you are also learning that when something is happening over the tools, which you call as a library. In a computer science now the things are very very easy because of the libraries of everywhere. You can say library in programming languages, Python is there, Java is there. So what is happening because of this library? So many things are ready made, you have to just call it. For example, if you have to read an image in C, it is not that much easy. That it is in MATLAB and Python that you have to call a library. And suppose I will talk because I am familiar with MATLAB. So there is one command that is just imread. So you just do imread and pass the file name and path, and it will read it from the source. But it is easy in the C. If you are going to do it, no, you have to write a lot of code for it. Lot of code you have to write just to read the image. And when you will see this imread function in MATLAB, if its function you are going to explore a lot, then you will see that at least 10 to 20 line of code were written to just call this function that is known as imread. Similarly, in Python, I'm not very much aware, but there is one library, Panda library is there. Anyone can tell me? Some kind of thing is there in Python? Panda library? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So for what purpose it is? What is the purpose of this library?
To work with CSV file and Excel files.
Okay, so those who work with this library, then you will found that your lot of tasks become very very easy. So that's why there is many reason that students are doing lot of project related to machine learning, related to image processing over the OpenCV and your Python. Even I have also heard that Python is supporting the libraries of OpenCV also. OpenCV is also supporting the Python. So why these things are happening? Because of this library. So what we are going to learn here, this all thing is going to be done in behalf of you by your tool. And these all things what we are learning today, you did zoom in, zoom out, you did scaling, you did the orientation, you did rotation over the object, you did position changing of the object, but you didn't care these about these points. You didn't care about the primitive how it has been worked. Why? Because the tools engine has done this also. You can say library kind of things are also there, but we have to be aware because we are learning it in the lectures and theory. So we should learn that in core of these tools like Blender or Maya. So how these things are happening whenever you are working? You are just doing drag and drop. You are just setting the configuration. You are just setting the configuration. Lot of tools are there for which you just click and do the setup. But in behind to that, lot of libraries are running. If you see if sometime whenever you are getting time, see that when you are just doing control plus, or when you are clicking over the wheel of the mouse, you are doing left click right, how many methods are running behind to these all GUI. Lot of methods are going to be run. So what we are learning today here is also this everything is not going to be done by you. Sometimes you have to do, but these all things will be done by your tools. So these all primitive. When suppose I want to draw the cube, whenever what you are doing, you are just doing right click, add cube, add sphere, objects you are adding. You are not defining the primitives. That because in Blender also they are having in the corner, you will say such kind of picture is there, like this one. This one. They are writing Y, Z, and X. So they are just telling you that we are also working over the right hand Cartesian, and what the space is here is your Euclidean space. And whenever you are going to add an object here, you are just doing right click and you are adding the object. You are not going to define these primitives. But you are just defining. Sometimes whenever you are just adding it, it is adding into the center. You can say it at origin. This one. At this place, it will add it directly. And then it is up to you that you want to put the position here, 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 here. So how these things are going to be happen? How the positions are going to be changed? So when the positions are going to be changed, so what is yes, what happened? Something? Anyone want to ask or share something? Hello? Some noise are there, so someone want to ask? Shivam? Hello? What happened? Someone asked something or it was just a mistake? Everything is fine. I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when we are going to learn this geometry, because what is this? Say when you are forming any shape, it is nothing but it is a geometry. It is a geometry that you have learned in 10th class also and 12th class also. But here we have to learn the geometry in form of 3D. And when we call it as a geometry, so geometry means our models and the operation over these models. Operations over these models. Okay, so these all operations that you are going to learn here manually, you are not going to implement it because your tool will implement in behalf of you. But we must aware that what the things are happening, so that if sometimes some questions are there that what is happening when you do the position change, what exactly is happening, where the changes are going to be reflected. Okay, when we are going to do in a 3D, so you can say it is a rigid body. So when we are doing the position change, so there will be any distortion in the object. When we do the rotation, then there is a allowable that any distortion in the object, that we must aware. And when we are doing it over the object in Blender, when you are rotating, when you are changing the position with respect to the origin, then the object's shape is going to be distorted, is going to be changed. Yes or no? Why it is not? If not, then why it is not? Because of what reason it is not going to change the shape? Where the changes, when we are changing the coordinates, when we are changing the position of the object with respect to the origin, then where the changes exactly is happening? Here it's the changing is happening, or in the shape of this object is going to be happen, or if it is happening, then what kind of thing is going to be happen? These things we are going to learn. But if in term of implementation you say, you are not going to implement this thing, because your tool, your engine of the Blender, engine of the Maya, Unity, they all will do these all things for you. So think about the position when these all things is going to be done manually, and you don't have these you can say super specific tools like Blender, Maya, and Unity 3D, then we cannot imagine about the development and working over this uh, virtual reality or augmented reality. Earlier, if I talk about 10-20 years ago, when the people, those who may started the development of this, they don't have these hi-fi tools like Blender. And if the Blender was there, if you see the first version, in the first version, very complicated. Lot of things you have to do the manually. Lot of things you have to do manually. Here you are just doing drag and drop so many times. You don't need to do the things. And whenever you are going to do the thing drag and drop, you can see whenever you are going to do, check the configuration. The things are changing. Coordinates are changing. Every time it is going to change, and we will learn that how these things are happening actually. So that is for our learning and awareness purpose. Okay guys, so here you have just seen that the primitives to draw a triangle. That is the three primitives required: x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2, x3, y3, z3. And why we have taken this triangle example? Because any object can be built with the triangle. It depends upon the what size of triangle you require. Suppose I want to draw like this shape, so any shape can be drawn with the help of triangle, like this one. If you say, what happened by, okay, this and this, you can say this kind of thing. This is a simple strip of triangle. We can also make like this one. Say this can be also made. This can be made, and this kind of thing. So this line, this line can be drawn. Then this is also said. This can be. So you can say it is a mesh kind of thing. This is the strip, simple strip of the triangle. So any kind of shape can be generated with the help of this triangle, solid triangle. So because when we are going to form anything, any object we are going to form, if we will just simply talk about you that how this whole body is made up of. Anyone have learned the biology in 10th or 12th? I just do not remember perfectly, but what I know that our whole body is made up of tissues and cell. The basic unit of the body is tissue. I'm right? Yes. Basic unit of our body is
Cell,
tissue.
cell is the basic unit.
Cell is smaller or tissues are smaller? I'm just asking.
Cell,
Cell.
Cell
yes.
is smaller
Cell.
than, cell are the smaller than tissue. Okay, so your body is made up of cells, so there is definitely some structure, basic structure of the cell through which whole body has been made up. Similarly, for drawing or making the objects in 3D also, you must have one basic, you can say basic unit. So our triangle will be a basic unit. The triangle will have a basic unit because the if you are going to apply any processing, then you have to just apply over this triangle primitives. These three primitives you have to apply. And second thing, any kind of space can be generated through this, because there is no any coherent space comes. There will be no possibility of collision because of this drawing the triangle. Second, someone may say that we can use the hexagon shape also to draw the structure. That will also not give any unreachable place. This is also kind of shape, but it is also kind of, you can say this is also kind of triangle if you do like this. So this is nothing but triangle. If you see the hexagon, see, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometime may the ask question is this one. So if you draw this line, this is also hexagon, triangle. This is also because of this triangle. So you can say the hexagon is also made up of some triangle if we will add some edges. Okay, so that's why you can say to form any rigid body in Euclidean space of 3D, we can use the basic unit as a triangle. You all agree? Can I use circle? Can I use circle or sphere? You say hello?
Yes, sir.
We can. So if you do this like, so there will be lot of space that is uncoverable. Suppose we have to do like this. So what about this space? How you will cover it? That is not possible. These will be play space, you can say, that is uncovered. So that's why this sphere or circle kind of thing cannot be used. Whenever you are going to draw this also, then you have to use also the triangle. Any kind of shape you are going to make, it will be through the triangle, and that is depends upon object's curve. This object's curve, how thin or tiny triangle you are going to use. The triangle shape can be that much tiny as per your requirement. I will show the example also. Okay, so the basic unit that we consider here will be the, according to not me, it is also according to the all the authors who work over it, geometry modeling of the any object in 3D. That is consider. Someone said that this hexagon to be used, but when they decompose this hexagon, that is also kind of triangle. So that's why that become base. And second reason is that operations are going to be very easy and very least chances that without intersection you can cover all the space. And here is, suppose I even someone says a size circle. So if you are going to draw three circles, so this space can be only covered, this center space can be only covered when you do the intersection, and that reflect the collision of the object. Okay, so that's why this become a basic unit to made up of a object. Okay, so let us see one example. So here you can say this object, and you can get this example over Wikipedia also. If you see what was the name of that reference, the reference, if you see just over Wikipedia user CHRSCN. So from there this image has been taken, that they have shown that how any fine object, the name is CHRSCHN over the Wikipedia. So they shown that how any object, whatever the sharp body is or what boundary is required, you can draw it through the triangle. So you can see this dolphin example. This dolphin is completely made up of the your triangle. You can say this triangle, simple triangle everywhere. So it depends upon, you can say this curve, how this curve comes. So whenever the curve comes, there you have to draw very tiny triangle, very tiny. Maybe the length will be in micrometer, maybe, or below to that also. And that is easy for the computers, and sometimes if little bit distortion is there, then our eye is not able to identify it, because the all senses have some you can say a restriction, that after this point only it can understand. So same way here also, you can say this boundary edges is also covered through, the triangles only. Okay, so all kind of, so whenever we are going to learn about the geometry of a model of a virtual world, whatever model we are going to learn in this virtual world W, whatever model is there, then we will going to form it with the triangle. And whenever we are going to perform any operation, then we are going to also perform over the primitives of this Cartesian. Suppose I want to do something with this dolphin, means I want to, suppose this is the my Cartesian, and over this dolphin is there, and I want to change its position with respect to this origin. So we have to do processing over each primitive of the triangle. Suppose there is, suppose 1000 triangle has been used to form this dolphin. So what we have to do? We have to do the processing over per triangle. There will be three primitives, but some primitives will be shared. If suppose see here this point where my cursor is. Here you can say one primitive is going to be shared by how many triangle? One triangle, two triangle, three triangle, four triangle, five triangle, six triangle. So it means that we are not going to process each and every primitive individually, but we are going to process a particular primitive of the triangle only once. So for that processing, because we want to change the position of this triangle with respect to this origin, it means that we have to do some processing over the primitives of this triangle. These are the three primitives of the triangle. So some are the primitives are the shared. So how this processing will be easy, so that we don't need to do something repeatedly. If we will process each and every each and every primitives of the triangle individually, then it will require lot of repeated operation, and we want to avoid it. So for that, we must have a very, you can say, efficient data structure where we can store it. Because you know that in computer, nothing will work without the efficient data structure. So whenever you are going to make an object, a data structure going to come in picture, where the primitives of the object is going to be stored. When you are going to work over Blender or Maya, you are making an object, so that objects have some primitives. So where those primitives are going to be stored? Because it also requires some computer memory. So it is going to be stored somewhere, and we want to store it some in such a manner that no duplicacy should be there. So it cannot be easily done through a simple data structure like array or linked list. Some modification is required there that we have to apply so that we can do the storage. Okay, so in the later on lecture, we will learn that if we want to change the orientation, or you can say position of any object with respect to the origin or with respect to the viewer, wherever the viewer is there. So what kind of operation we have to apply over the primitives of the triangle? Because all primitives of the triangle, here if you say 1000 triangles are there, and maybe roughly I will say 2000 primitives are there, because many of them will be the shared. So we have to apply the operation of position change or rotation over these all 2000 primitives. Then only that will be reflected without distortion in the object. Because when I'm doing change in the object, or when we are going to rotation on the object, the distortion should not take place. The shape of the object must be remain same. That we have to learn. So in the later on lecture, we have to learn that how to do change of the position, or that is also known as translation of the object. Translation of the object. Sorry. And second thing which we have to learn is the orientation of the object. How to do the orientation over the object, how it takes place. That is also, you can say, rotation. And third, we will learn when we are going to do both things together, position as well as orientation, or you can say translation and orientation, both are going to take place together in the object. So what kind of operation we have to apply over the primitives of the triangle? Okay, so you are getting the guys? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you got about the today lecture is all about that. When we are going to form an object, so what are the basic unit to form that object? That I said 3D triangle. And whenever we are going to perform any operation over this object, then we have to perform the operations over primitives of this triangle. Maybe millions, billion number of triangles are there. So we have to perform the operation over this million, billions triangle primitive. So for performing the operation, you all know these things should be somewhere, that is storage, and that is we call in computer science is a data structure. So we should know that what data structure and how the data structure to be used, so that efficiently we can store this primitive without some duplicacy. Okay guys, so that we will learn about those things in the next lecture, and in that we will learn this data structure mainly that is used, which is known as doubly connected edge list, that allow us to store the primitives of the any shape, so that we can avoid the duplicacy, and whenever we are going to perform the operation, then we are going to perform only once the operation over the shared point. Okay, so that we will see in the next lecture. I hope you have connected with me in the chapter that is geometry of the virtual world. What I said, that is just to learn about that, how the models are going to be created for the virtual world. Model means, you can say, objects, 3D objects that you are already worked in a Blender. You have prepared so many, but you have used the tool Blender, so you don't know those significance. When you are changing, when you are rotating, then what is happening? You are just clicking that, add the object, you are clicking, you are changing the configuration, you are getting the outcome, and you are happy. Whenever you are going to make a depth, you are going to make a curve, when you are going to do the coloring, when you are going to change the position, when you are rotating, when you are seeing only the faces, then how the things are changing. For that, you have just used the engine and engine is doing in behalf of you directly, but you don't aware about that how these things are happening. So that here in the lecture we just started to learn it, that how the things are going to be happen in the uh, tool, which is going to be done by the libraries of the tool, and you are just getting the outcome. But it must be aware to us if someone is asking, because we are not only, because the blender is Maya for running the blender and Maya, or use the blender and Maya required engineering degree. No, anyone who even know the did the BA and fond of to use the computer, they can also use the blender and Maya. So why to be a engineer use this blender and Maya? Because we are also going to know how the things are in actual is happening. When we are doing, we should know at least, not we are, I am saying that we are going to make such a tool like Blender and Maya, but we are also going to learn that how the basic things of this operations over the 3D models are going to be happening. Okay, so if anything anyone want to share or anything anyone want to say, then please anyone, anything?
No, sir.
Nothing. So thank you guys for joining, and if anyone have anything to ask or share, then you are free, otherwise you may leave. I have downloaded it.